Oh, yes, it is that time of the month again. And no, that's a terrible introduction. I need to figure out something better. That I should never. No, I apologize. I should never start a show that way ever again. However, it is a good time of the month because we have yet another one of Professor Damo's selections. And I gotta say, expectations are high. Damo might have overplayed his hand here. He might have set up a situation where he simply can't win because even if this cigar is really, really good, will it live up to its promise of being without compromise? Sin compromiso is a big promise. And the website actually triples down on this and says it is beyond exceptional. And I just feel that we might have put Damo in a situation where he can't win, even if this is a truly fantastic cigar. Is it really going to live up to those expectations? I also, just as a matter of sort of principle, I have an issue with this kind of marketing. This isn't Damo's fault, obviously, but yeah, you sort of, without compromise, high quality, top quality, all this sort of stuff. It's like, you never see the cigar that's marketed as like the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. It's a little bit shit. Like they never have the other side of this kind of like the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. We didn't really try very hard on this one. It's the other side of this equation is never there, which I've got to say makes it feel a little bit hollow when you get this kind of marketing. So I'm in two minds. I'm not sure what to think. So instead of me having to do the thinking, I will hand the thinking over to the brains of the operation. Damo, how are you? Oi, you getting started early again?
Well, I've been waiting for ages for you backstage, and then I was just like,
yeah. Yeah, I know. You were just having a little pub. I mean, look, you've been spending too much time with Omar. That's normally a bit of an Omar thing. Sin compromiso, how do you feel? Are you confident going into this? Is this really a without compromise cigar? Is this going to live up to the hype?
One of our subscribers rang me. They can't often join us live on the Wednesday nights, and this time they decided to get a head start instead of doing it after the show. And he rang me up just to tell me how exceptional the cigar was. He's never called me before about any of the cigars in the pack. So he's like, when we've talked in passing by, he goes, "Oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one." But this cigar, he deliberately rang me and just had to tell me he had that cigar and it was exceptional.
I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure here, Damo. Just between you and me, no one else is watching. No one else cares. No one else is watching. Just between you and me, I think we've promised a little bit too much.
No.
All right. Without further ado, we're going to have to bring in the diversity hire. Omar, how are you? Oh, he's a spinning wheel of death. There he is. Omar, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing it very, very well. Do you think that Damo has fucked up, or do you think he's got this right?
Look, Topher, you all do this shit on the YouTube channels and you talk crap, but you need to learn how to speak crap.
That's my job.
But the question is, okay, the question would be, has Damo fucked up again?
Okay. Whoa. See, now you're talking shit about someone I actually care about, unlike you.
Look, no, the Damo often doesn't fuck up. But I do agree. I was listening to what you were saying. I 100% agree. The name is like, man, just chill it. Just come down a bit. Down. Just take it a little bit down. I don't know.
It's like he's taken a leaf out of Gurkha's playbook. And he's like, we're just going to talk ridiculous shit here for marketing purposes. I'm not about it. Like Steve Sark, okay, he's a bit out there. Yeah?
I got the Sarka Squatch with me tonight. Just to aid me on. And just to show that I'm not just a Perdomo fanboy, I am wearing.
Oh God, seriously.
There you go.
That's just
Damo, we talk.
It's a whole branding exercise tonight.
We talked about this, Damo. What did your therapist say about the Sasquatch?
Seriously.
Well,
look, it's
probably best not to get. We
it's
don't
not
have
a good
enough
look.
Show to get into
not
that.
A good look. All right, now coming back to the cigar, because honestly, anything to get away from the Sasquatch. It comes with its own little cedar sleeve here with the branding printed on it, which is pretty. I got to say, I do respect that little bit of extra effort. It's not a huge amount of effort, but that little bit of extra effort to have the cedar printed, to have it placed nicely on the top of this box pressed cigar. I really do appreciate. Now, something that we haven't talked
lighting up with it though, because it's got cellophane tape on the back, and you'll get that lovely burnt plastic note.
Okay, so it has a little bit of tape there, but I am actually going to halfway defy your orders because something we have not talked about enough on this show, that sounds like a blowtorch you've got there, is that when you get a cigar like this, you can simply extend the cedar so it sits off the end of the cigar itself, and you can light it. Now, obviously, be very, very careful. It does have the sticky tape. All right, don't put it so far forward that it ends up lighting up. And what will happen is you will light that, and all going well, and I'm going to be the crash test dummy here because I've not done this for ages. It will light and the cedar will burn. And once you get to where the end of the cigar is, it will light the cigar and the cedar itself will go out. I have done this before. That is what has happened in the past. I'm going to try my hand at doing it again. But first, Damo, what the hell is going on with this cap?
That's a little pigtail.
You just got to pull it off.
Just a tiny little pigtail.
Really? You just pull that off. You don't have to cut it. You just pull that off.
Yeah, I just did. Look. Just pulled it off.
Yeah, I'm still with Damo. I don't trust that at all. I'm still with Damo. I'm going for a cut.
Just an interesting note. The smell on the foot, it's got a bit of sweet spice to it, but if you go to the side, it's got more of a barnyard, maybe just that hint of manure, composted manure note to it as well. So
now we've got a lot of comments here from Facebook user. Can you go to streamyard.com/Facebook and follow the instructions, and that will connect you up so that instead of showing up as a Facebook user, you will show up with your username and your password. Your not your password. Your profile picture on Facebook. Oh, great draw.
Very, very.
Yeah. That's exactly what you want. And my cut is not a big one. Because of the piggy tail, it didn't sort of cut very deep at all. I've got the perfect draw with me, so it's only a set. No, it's a set depth of cut. It's a very shallow cut in this case because of that pigtail. But my goodness, that's a beautiful draw. All right, here is the moment of truth. I'm lighting it up. I'm lighting up the cedar. Okay, that's set burning nice and fast. Now you notice the cedar has put itself out. Ow, that hurt. Ah, it's tight. I've got to say, that's a pretty good light. I'm just going to touch up one side of it. That's not bad, though.
Oh, that is so smooth. I would almost say that has got to be one of the smoothest light-ups I've ever had.
I've heard this about 845 times before, but let's just go with that.
It is.
You know you've smoked a lot of cigars. 845 is just like a week for you, Omar.
Shut up. I stopped that. I'm not doing that no more.
Oh, there's a nice bit of texture to that smoke straight off the cuff as well. It's almost got a little bit of a chewiness to that smoke.
You're very nice. Very, very nice light up. I thought it was some little bit of spice to it, but it's very smooth, very earthy. It's got a hint of earthiness in it.
More than a hint. There's definitely leather, earthiness.
Yeah, leather.
Bit of nice little bit of cracked pepper in there.
What about
the foot smoke is gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what a cigar should taste like.
I for some reason, I was at a point where I was in love with 6x60 Gordos, right? And I tapped out, complete tapped out. This is, I'm not joking. This is my favorite Vitola now. Box pressed, a 48, 52, that ballpark. Absolutely amazing. bigger than 54
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
So the first time I came across this was in the KO series. So I'm a KO flathead fanboy, right? But specifically the KO 554, which is a 5-inch by 54 ring gauge. Now they also make the KO 660, exactly the same blend, but it's in a 6-inch by 60 ring gauge, and it's just not the same. I then came across it more recently, so I'm an Oliva fanboy as well. Okay, what can I say? I've got good taste. That's all I'll say. And so I love the Oliva V, especially the Melanio. Obviously, that's their sort of premium range within the Oliva V. So naturally, that is what I like. But I like the Lancero and I like the number 4 specifically. Those two out of that range. And Damo, you tried a torpedo just the other week. We were talking, and you tried a torpedo. And that's in that blend, but you didn't rate it.
No, it was. Look, don't get me wrong. It was a good cigar. If it didn't have that wrapper on it, I would have smoked it and said, yes, that was a quite a decent cigar. But when you actually have a brand and a particular sub blend within that brand that you're used to, and you really love, and it's something you just hanker and crave that particular flavor profile. And I lit that cigar up in a different Vitola. It just let me down because I had, just like you, the number 4, the Lancero, you've got those set flavors that are just absolutely gorgeous. And then I lit this up and it was not even remotely close to it.
And we know it so well, we love it. And I was the same. So I actually got a box of the Churchills and a box of the torpedoes, and I smoked my way through them. And I came into it with high expectations, which is always a risk, right? Whenever you come into anything with high expectations, there's a risk there. But having just had a box of the number 4s, I then went into this box of the Churchills and a box of the torpedoes. I thought they were just good cigar. Yeah, fine, but nothing special.
Is it torpedo or figurado? Two different things.
No, it was a torpedo. In the Oliva V Melanio, it's almost like a Churchill with a torpedo end on it. It's a very long, quite a wide ring gauge on it, but it's just the one end. It's just the torpedo.
Okay, it's a torpedo. Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah.
To be honest, not a fan. But the Lancero in that is just miles apart from everything. Miles apart.
Magic. And interestingly enough, I can't think of his name right now, but the patriarch of that family right now is in fact his favorite version of the Lancero. His favorite version of the Oliva V Melanio is that Lancero. He's quite public about this. That's the one that he smokes.
He actually says he only smokes them. That's exactly what it is,
So it's quite remarkable the difference that the Vitola can make. But I got to tell you, I'm kind of with you. I'm moving away from the really thick ring gauges. In the past, I've been a fan of the nubs, and they are, they're a thicker ring gauge. A 54 is kind of the smallest thing they do that I can think of off the top of my head, anyway. And they're, they'll be 3 inches or 3.5 inches or whatever they may be. And I'm moving away from that much more towards your Lanceros, your Lonsdales, and then your number 4s, your Petite Coronas. These sorts of cigars tend to emphasize the wrapper more because of just the ratio of fill to wrapper.
My first proper cigar, when I say proper cigar, was what Damo and I purchased some, and Damo got it for me, was 460 Connecticut. Now, I've got a special feeling for that cigar. It's an amazing cigar. But you know what?
Sure.
I'm at a stage where I said, I don't know. I love them. No to that. But that ring gauge, that 44 plus 52, that ballpark is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
You know what I reckon this is reminiscent of? They talk about, drummers in a band. A beginner drummer just has like the snare and 2 toms and a ride and a cymbal and sort of that's it, just a really basic kit. And then they go through that intermediate phase where they've got every single gadget under the sun and they're traveling with a bus just for the drum kit. They've got 15 different toms and 25 different cymbals and every type of cowbell under the sun. And then you come across them another 10 years on where they've graduated from being that intermediate drummer in a touring band, and now they're actually an expert drummer, and they've just got a little snare and a hi-hat and a ride and like 1 tom, and they're right back to the absolute basics. But they can appreciate it, and what they can do with that is so much more than what they could ever do with that full kit as an intermediate. And I think there's something about that with cigars where you go through a phase of like, no, bigger is better. And then you develop past that phase and you start to really have an appreciation of the craft and the balance of flavors and everything else. And I think what I'm saying here, Omar, is that you're growing up.
Yep. Just a little bit before you did. What question is, are you going to grow up? Are you gonna
I hope not.
Nah, look, completely. I couldn't agree more. Demo used to order cigars for me, like that's like 10 boxes or whatever. I said, Demo, find the biggest Vitola. Just period. Don't worry about it. I was just thinking of airtime, right? For me, it's airtime. So I'm just thinking airtime. It's equal bigger airtime, but no, negative, no more.
Yeah.
No more. Well, I'm happy. I'm glad we got to.
Yeah, look, this is beautiful, Damo. You've done very well once again. I'm not yet ready to call it as beyond exceptional, but I am going to say so far it's impressive.
Got a very interesting note, quite unique. I'm trying to put my, I can't pick it. It's like a slight sweet spice, very earthy. It's just there. It's coming out of that earthiness of the cigar. I'm actually, it's a man cigar. It's not a beginner cigar. It's a man cigar.
No, that's right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Look, I'm loving this cigar. I can't fault it. There's absolutely nothing that you can question about this cigar. There's a
funnily enough.
Yeah.
Sorry. They do actually say in the promotional material for this cigar, they do actually say that it's really for experienced smokers, and that's quite a rare thing. Normally, they would say, "Oh, it's suitable for beginners or experienced smokers alike." That's kind of the standard line.
Yeah. It's just
and in this,
now you go. No, you go. Seriously.
Okay. In this one, they're really kind of owning it and just saying this is a cigar for experienced smokers. And from a sales point of view, of course, that's not an ideal position to take. So there's something about this cigar that has really given them the confidence to really sort of put it down and say, no, this is for experienced smokers.
It is. And Damo, what is this? There is I can't articulate, man. I can't get to the bottom of this note. It is very enjoyable. It's not like a harsh spicy. It's very earthiness to it.
You know what it's doing for me? It's actually bringing me back to the best notes of some of the great cigars that we've had over the last few years. Like I'm reflecting back to the vintage, was it 1997 Maduros that we had with the stainless steel ring on it. I'm getting flashes.
That was the better one, yeah.
The Lancero and the Oliva. I'm getting some of the beautiful spice notes that we've had off the ESV sun-grown Perdomo. Like it's or if you could actually pick some of the beautiful highlights from some of the cigars that we've had in the past and stick them into one cigar, that's what this cigar is doing for me at the moment.
Well, it's kind of a greatest hit cigar.
Yeah, it reminds me of the EP Carrillo we had. There's a reminiscence of that.
Yep.
I know exactly the 1990, the EP Carrillo 1990. It was quite a small cigar, but you're absolutely. As soon as you said it, I knew the one you were talking about. Now there is, of course, also. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I'm good. You go.
There's a must.
Just thinking that the Pledge prequel, EP Carrillo, and the 1990, the vintage 1990, had certain reminiscences, and I feel like the Pledge prequel, which of course was the one that won Cigar of the Year, was kind of, and I don't know this, EP Carrillo to my knowledge hasn't said this, but it felt like it was a spiritual successor. It was a continuation of that same flavor profile, and then that became the world #1 cigar for the year that it was released, whatever year that was, relatively recently. But honestly, I never loved that cigar. The 1990 I loved, and this is so far really impressive.
And
but I can see the similarity
there of the leaf in there as well. I'm picking up some of those the notes that Omar's struggling to pick, those beautiful spicy notes that are really predominant in the foot smoke coming off it. That sort of almost incense smell to it is reminding me of some of those beautiful leaves that we've had as well. So it's just,
I'm happy with incense. I'm perfectly happy with incense because that gives you that churchy, deep sort of myrrh, that resin, that sort of resin, but it's not annoying. It's sweet. Like it's not like
I'm
your feet, but it's nice.
I'm going to go with Dan here on that hint of clove. I can't say that I'm getting the oregano, but I'm going to go with Dan on just that hint of clove. There's just a little bit of a tongue tightening in there.
Yeah. Look, there's a multiple spice that come and go. Not oregano for me, but it's probably clove, a little bit clove. But that what Damo mentioned, I completely resonate with that. It's just that resins, the resins, that smell of that resins, aromatic resins. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Well, on other news, I understand that you're in the process of a bit of a career change, Topher.
Well, look, I'm in a stage of transition. I'm pre-operative,
and on that bombshell, I was very concerned about equipping you for your transition into your new career. So I went out and got something for you, which I thought you might actually find useful for your next career.
Brace yourselves. This is not going to be good. All right. Well played, Damo. Look, they're not going to make me president of Australia anytime soon.
You're more than welcome to borrow it and stand in the back of Omar's pickup, and we'll drive you around.
All right, that's my campaign vehicle.
Yeah, that's it. Hilux. On a super serious note, that's a nice ring. That was a very deep ring too. Yeah, it went up. I know a gentleman that's have you noticed a lot of the HR people who come from England in Australia, and vice versa? When you go to the UK, a lot of HR people come from Australia. But anyway, I know HR person. Incidentally, we were talking, and he's really deeply into this corporate world, right? He does a lot of recruitment, and your name popped up. I think he knew you or some way rather. He's from Melbourne. He's from Melbourne, Pommy guy, and he mentioned that. I mean, I'll give you his number when we finish. He was very keen for you to. There's a vacancy missing in the Mardi Gras. The lead runner, the guy that runs. So he said, that would probably be somewhere that you might end up.
Yeah. Look, he's going to have to get in line. I've had calls, obviously, from the Puppetry of the Penis guys, and also from Manpower, that male strip club cabaret show. Obviously, desperate to get me onto their lineups. So, look, he's probably going to have to get in line. Look, I might just freelance on Brunswick Street in Fitzroy again, the way that I did sort of back before I got married. It's a very, very good way to earn a lot of money. And the coffee enemas were just a regular part of the job. It's just sort of how it goes. You just have to take that along with taking some other things. Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to smoke it afterwards. I like to smoke my cigars. I'm pretty firm on that.
Okay, fair. Just a second. Damon wants to say something. Mark, just what is he dying to say something? No, okay, sorry.
I think he just wants to stay out of it. To be honest, I think he's just sitting there going, "Really, guys, really?"
Unfortunately, the vibration from my chainsaw knocked my ash off.
Oh, whatever.
Excuses.
But I did get an allspice note once the ash dropped, so that's another spice note in there.
I'm way ahead of you guys. Is that right?
No.
Yeah.
That's about the same.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar. Pretty similar.
Oh, there yours goes.
Hey, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, you need that.
I need to get a win somewhere, somehow.
I'm pairing mine with a lemon lime bitters tonight, but my bitters are the Turkish tobacco bitters.
Oh, there you go.
No, still not good enough. Just wait. I've got black tea and I've got a little bit of leftover Shiraz from dinner, so I'm going to drink that. It's going all right. It pairs okay.
So we've got Stuart, we've got Daniel. Who else we got on tonight with us?
Well, we got a handful of others, but their names keep coming up as Facebook user or they're being silent. So if you're watching and you haven't commented yet, throw us a comment. Let's say hi. We're very glad to have you, and we're grateful for your time. We hope that you're smoking something. Hopefully you're a subscriber and you got one of these. But if you're not, let us know what you're smoking. Or if you don't have anything to smoke right now, let us know what you like to smoke.
I might be getting a little bit of a star anise note there as well.
Yeah, there is. See, I would say that's a cousin of the clove. I think there's something in that flavour profile there. Stu?
Not quite as pungent as a clove. I'm sort of getting those higher notes that are sort of tending a little bit more to the aniseed licorice side of things.
Stu, speaking of sorry, Omar.
I said it's definitely got a complexity to it. So you 1 minute is this, and it's got definitely some complexity to it.
In the words of Shrek, it's like an onion. There's layers. But Stu, don't call me a dildo. Speaking of dildos, I've still got yours. It's fully charged. So let me know when you're going to come by and pick it up. Hey?
You guys must be sharing a lot of these.
Well, it could be worse. It could be bent.
Look, life is about sharing experiences with friends.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Stu?
And coffee.
Oh, yeah.
We were okay with that. Coffee and cigars. We shared that.
Oh, coffee and cigars are a fantastic combination, especially Damo's coffee, I've got to say. Damo, I have some devastating news. I am less than a month away from running out of my surplus brew stock that I had, which is, of course, well and truly stale by now and doesn't taste anywhere near as good as it used to. But nevertheless, it's actually still drinkable. It's actually not bad. But I'm going to run out in about a month. So I need to talk to you about what's my best option for getting a drinkable setup for, I don't know, not something that requires a machine. I'm thinking like what you made for me, and Omar, you better block your ears. You're going to get jealous. What you made for me in the back of your car that time when we had so much fun. The first time we met, when you were waiting for me, in the back of your car was just completely prepared and we just had a great time. Something like that sort of a setup I think would be ideal.
Well, how about I come down and crash at your place in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll bring some stuff and we can work that out.
But don't tell Stu. Don't tell Omar, right? He'll be jealous. Oh, don't tell Stu either. I mean, he'll be jealous too. But just keep it between you and me.
Daniel either.
No, Daniel would hate that. He just wouldn't want to know. Really, it's just I'm doing him a favor by not letting him know that you're going to come down and make coffee for me.
Yep.
Stu, it's not that I don't like your coffee machine. It's just that your coffee machine is shit. Okay, it's just that's all.
Hey, I was knocking out some decent coffees on it that time you had it there.
Yeah, so I've heard. Stu likes to remind me. Okay, I don't need to know when you're coming, Stu. That's private information that you can just keep to yourself from now on. Thank you. Otherwise, I will renew that restraining order.
That leather note that I got at the start, which was a really nice, deep, earthy leather, has become more of a brighter, softer leather. Just like very suddenly, bang. And this was one of the things that I really appreciated with this cigar when we reviewed it, was the fact that it has these little glimmers of flavor changes that just pop and then disappear. It just keeps the experience interesting as you go through it.
We haven't had as much of that recently. I remember that being a feature of cigars that we had through to maybe pack 5 or 6. And I feel as though, and I don't think it was intentional, but something about the cigars that have been selected since have had less of that sort of surprise factor that we used to get a bit more with cigars. So it's kind of nice to have that back again, where each puff is kind of keeping you engaged, keeping you thinking about what it is. What's this puff going to give me? I've got to say, for me, it's been comparatively steady. The leather I definitely identify with, and I can see your similarity with the 1997. The was it a Rocky Patel 1997? The one with the metal band around it. What was that? That wasn't a Rocky Patel, was it?
Macanudo.
Thank you. The Macanudo note. I knew. Yeah, I thought I had that wrong. And I remember saying after that cigar that this is a cigar that cigars would smoke if cigars could smoke cigars. It was kind of a cigars cigar for me. That's really what that was. And this has shades of the same thing. It just is what a cigar should taste like.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Stu. Not Stu. I got to tell you, Damo. If I'd seen cigars titled, from a company called Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, without your guidance, I would have glossed over them. I would have just assumed this is some big corporate conglomerate who's just churning out sticks for profit. And I really would have, I would have had such low expectations, I would never have even given them a chance. But thanks to you, and I feel like it's been really the last sort of 4 or 5 packs or so, we've had a sprinkling of Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust through the last sort of year and a half of the Cigar Professor. And I'm so glad that you've done that, because, I mean, some of these sticks are an absolute find.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That sweet musk is still there, especially on a retro. Absolutely gorgeous.
I've got that more clearly now than what I had earlier. That musky sweetness has definitely come through. But it is, I don't really do the retro thing, but it's on the aftertaste. It's in that 15 seconds after you've exhaled that suddenly that sweetness starts to really come through.
Yep.
And it's a good incentive to leave a good gap between puffs, is just to allow that flavor that remains in your mouth just to evolve and change. So, Damo, I hate to bring up weighty matters when we're having fun with the cigar show, but I know I certainly care, and I know Omar does, and I know that our viewers do too. Can you give us a bit of an update on how you're going? You've had another round of treatment. You had some intravenous and some sort of treatments and that sort of stuff. How are you holding up? How are you doing?
Well, it hit me harder than usual last time round, which not exactly sure what that means. Usually the first time you have chemo, it hits you hard because there's a mass die-off of cancer.
Right.
And the cancer dying creates toxins in your body that makes you feel like shit. I had that this time round, probably worse than the first one I had last year, which is the first in the series of treatments I had.
That's kind of a good sign then, is it? If it hits you hard, it's kind of a sign that it's working, or?
I think it is. We definitely are seeing progress. I have an appointment with a specialist in a couple of weeks to get his expert opinion on it. But as long as I'm making progress, it's basically just keep on with the current regime for another year. So if everything's going according to plan, then I'll still have another 4 more treatments between now and March next year.
Yeah, right. So it's every 3 months now, is it?
Yeah. So
yeah, okay.
So that's what we're hoping for, because unfortunately the government's broke, and the alternative drug that was my backup plan if there was a problem with this particular drug that I'm on has now been restricted to only being allowed for one type of cancer unless you've already started on it. So there are other patients with my cancer that are already started on it. They are allowed to continue on it, but patients aren't allowed to new patients aren't allowed to start on it, and patients who haven't already started on it aren't allowed to start on it. I
right.
think it's because it's like the second or the most expensive treatment on the market at the moment. It's like 10,000. I think it's like $7,000 to $10,000 an injection, and a typical course will be around about 10 or 12 injections. So
Wow.
I could have it if I wanted it, but I'd have to fund it 100% out of my own pocket, which I'm not in a position to pay that sort of dosh. So the only alternative is to go back to old school drugs that they were using in the 70s, which I'm not particularly keen on either.
It's not ideal.
You know, the success rate of the 70s with cancer treatment is not as good as what it is now. So
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but so look, let's just trust and I'll keep praying that what you're on now is going to just work, and that becomes a moot point after that.
I've definitely noticed an improvement. My wife is adamant that it's not just me looking through rosy glasses and wishful thinking.
Good.
It's just whether the doctors will see enough of a response to justify the government funding, because even the one I'm on at the moment is like between $4,000 and $6,000 an injection. So
well, and that's the pharmaceutical companies making an absolute fortune. I mean, I get that they have to recover their R&D and that sort of stuff, but far out, you know, that's an enormous amount of money per injection.
So I think it's this tightrope, because I was on this exact same drug back in 2019 and developed drug resistance. There is a tendency for me to follow in the same path. So what they've done is, instead of giving me the treatment over 9 months, they've basically dragged the treatment out over 2 years. So they don't inundate my system. But there's also that risk of the treatments being too far apart, that the cancer progresses between treatments quicker than each treatment knocks it back. So it could even be that they say, well, we'll carry on, but instead of being every 3 months, it might be every 2 months, or I don't know. That's out of my realm of expertise and understanding. But unfortunately, I'm not the one that gets to write the scripts. So,
well, I tell you, we can't afford for you to be sick. So you know, we might just have to pass the hat around at the Cigar Professor, and everyone dig deep. Everyone dig deep. Mortgage your house. Because without you, we wouldn't be smoking the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sin Compromiso right now, and you know, I reckon that's got to be worth something.
Well, there's an interesting research paper that I think it was Dr. John Campbell was talking about recently on one of his YouTube blogs, that vitamin D being used for treating a whole plethora of things, not just whatever's been going around the world for the last little while. And it's actually quite interesting. Some of the research that's coming out, it seems to be that a lot of the health issues in society at the moment are basically nutrient deficiencies. And I watched another doctor that Dr. John hasn't referred to this lady, but this lady has referred to him. And she actually had a situation where she couldn't get her elderly father's vitamin D levels up to normal range. And so she just started getting him to go out in the sun for 10 minutes a couple of times a week. And actually just doing that, his doctor, because she can't be his doctor for ethical reasons, told her, oh, you got to stop your dad taking vitamin D supplements. And she's like, he's not. He's just getting...
he's not.
He's only getting like 20 minutes worth of sunlight a week over 2 or 3 exposures, and that was enough to boost his D levels to the point that some of his health ailments were starting to remedy themselves. So I have started just getting out in the backyard for 5 or 10 minutes just to get a bit of sun on my whole body this last few weeks, and I think that's also definitely giving me benefits. It's not hurting me by any means. I'm not getting sunburn, I'm not getting tan, but just natural sunlight. Funnily enough, my mum's had hip replacement surgery in the last couple of weeks, and I took her to the specialist today for a follow-up, and his advice, and I nearly fell off the back of my chair, was the dressing comes off the wound in 3 days. And he said, once the dressing comes off, couple of times a week, go out and get 20 minutes of sunlight on the wound. It will prevent infection and aid recovery. And I was like,
100%.
Wow, the message is actually starting to sink
Yeah.
into some of these doctors.
Keep
and this
that,
is
doctor.
like an elite surgeon. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
do mundane doctoring. He just specializes in hip and knee replacement surgery. And he's actually now, and I said to him, you know what, that's what they used to do for the war injured after the war when they came back into the convalescent hospital. Every day the nurses would wheel them out into the sunshine so that the war veterans could get sunshine every day. And I think we need
100%.
to get back to some of the good old-fashioned medicine that we had, you know.
Well, Dr. Campbell's going to be in Sydney next week, and I'll be the MC for his. So he's speaking along with a bunch of other doctors on Tuesday the 2nd, I think it must be. And then there's a gala dinner that night. And I was originally going to be emceeing just the conference during the day, and then Ross Cameron was going to MC the gala, and he's got surgery. I don't know what kind, but get well soon, Ross, if you happen to ever watch this. But as a result, they've asked me to actually MC both. So I'm going to spend a bit of time with Dr. Campbell over the weekend and afterwards, early next week. And I'm going to be very interested to talk to him, because he has really become, from having been someone who was really just promoting the orthodoxy and encouraging everyone to do what was the official sort of thing to do. He followed the evidence, which is his motto: follow the evidence wherever it may lead. And he did that with integrity. And that meant realizing that he had been wrong about certain things in the past. And now he's really pursuing that. And he's one of the main sources of information now. Not so much the research, but he's one of the main conduits through which that information is reaching the public eye around things like vitamin D, around things like ivermectin, which is a word we can now say without getting banned. Amazing.
Really?
In terms of treating. I know. Yeah. We don't have to be wary of that word anymore. That's off the banned list on social media. And he's really helping to amplify various research, which is still in its early stages, and we can't be certain, but the indications right now are that not only is ivermectin useful for reducing the severity of a COVID-19 infection and reducing the likelihood of symptoms in the first place, but actually increasing evidence that it's quite useful for treating spike protein damage, whether as a result of COVID-19 infection or as a result of the mRNA vaccines. And there's some quite strong research about that needs to be verified. It's still in preprint, etc. Disclaimer, but it's interesting and it's worth knowing about. And also the other thing that he's really talking a lot about is the importance of vitamin D. I mean, we know about the importance of vitamin C. Damo, you've talked about that. You've taken it intravenously, and so forth as part of your cancer treatments. But man, the importance of vitamin D. And when you think about the importance of vitamin D, now that we're starting to really, not so much understand it, we already knew, but now that we're talking about it, you think about the negative effects of the Cancer Council and these sorts of anti-sunlight campaigns, this sort of scare campaign. I can remember the ads where they had like a digital, the flip-flops, like that's back in the day, but more recently they had like a digital counter in a dude's arm, and he's out mowing the lawn and the counter is counting up. And then the ad finishes with him going in for skin cancer treatment. This kind of implication of every little bit of sunlight is doing you damage. And I have to wonder, given that supposedly 1/3 or more of the Western world is vitamin D deficient, like quite seriously vitamin D deficient.
Actually, I would argue more than that.
Quite possibly. How much of that is actually just the harm of our own public health campaign that has caused people to become afraid of one of the most important things in our health. Just the irony of that, I think, is Anyway,
my wife's been chronically ill for almost 20 years now, and in the early days of us trying to figure out what was wrong, she went to her GP, who's no longer a GP anymore. She retired, but we asked, could we just get a vitamin D level checked and all the things checked? Just trying to figure out whether there was something blatantly, obviously wrong with my wife. And she said, "Oh no, I won't bother with that." And we said, "Why not?" And she said, "Oh, all of my patients are vitamin D deficient. I have never had one that isn't."
Yeah, wow, what a statement! What a statement!
And I'm like, and we walked out of that, and it's like, hang on, here's a doctor who has admitted that all of her patients are vitamin D deficient. She's never encountered one that isn't deficient, and yet there was no thought of trying to remedy that problem amongst any of her patients.
All right, back to the cigar for a second. I've seen there's a couple of questions for me in there. I'll get to those in a sec. But back to the cigar. I've actually consciously let it go out because it was persistently crooked, and I couldn't get it to correct. And in my efforts to get it to correct, I was actually overheating it. So what I've done, it's not quite out. There's still a tiny little bit that's still lit in the middle. But I've allowed it to go cold. I'm going to light the high side and then let that spread and light the whole thing. It's just one of those things where once something gets...
Mine's a little bit on that way as well.
Yeah, slight burn issue. I'm not going to put it down to a construction error per se. It's just one of those things that can happen. And I'm just going to light the high side, leave the low side cold. And that low side will light itself as that cherry sort of spreads as I smoke it now. So you can see I've just lit the high side. That'll sort itself out. Yes, the flavor won't be quite right for a couple of minutes, but in my mind, that's a less bad way to deal with a problem like that than just over smoking it and trying to get it to correct. And then before you know it, you've smoked through a third of the cigar too hot, too harsh, and you're not getting the best out of the cigar. Omar, you look like you're thinking about saying something.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the cigar. I think it has given me some wonderful transitions in and out of that spice, that clove / multi-spice sort of thing. But the base note in the perfumery, they use the word base, the base note. The base note being earth in this cigar throughout.
Mm-hmm.
There's an element of earthiness that has never gone away. And the middle and top, the spices coming in and out and different other things, so small amounts of cedar, leather, transitions, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm almost getting a bit of a dry vanilla note on that earthiness as well as it peters out.
Where are you guys at? Okay, yeah. So, so we're all pretty broadly similar. Yeah,
pretty similar.
The band just slides off easily.
Yeah, well, it's called ambercrest. You know what that is?
Ambergris. Yeah.
That's
whale blubber.
Yeah, but you can recreate that. People do that, and it's using a lot. And it's I would pass it for more on the ambergris side than the vanilla. It's got a soft, light, fluffy, floral / vanilla-like sweetness to it. It's very mild. It's very light, but yeah, it's there.
All right,
gorgeous on the retro.
David, this is a cigar show, so I'll just answer this briefly. But I don't have any plans right now. I'm just taking a couple of weeks of just totally off. And look, the split was basically because the person who was paying the bills, which I'm very grateful for, he's someone who's an exceptionally high performance human being and a successful business person in other businesses. And so as soon as there were some challenges, the first 6 months went well, the growth wasn't quite what we needed it to be. And instead of turning around and having a conversation with me and allowing me to then pivot and find ways to improve the growth, he began to get more and more involved in the decision-making on a day-to-day basis. And without him realizing it, and as I did try to communicate this with him, he was taking us further and further away from the business plan that I presented to him in the first place and the vision that we had in the first place. He would argue that he was pursuing that vision. I disagree. And I believe he was taking us further and further away from that vision. And that disagreement ultimately was the reason why I parted ways. I hope the Aussie Wire goes on to do great things. This is going to be a really difficult transition for them because I was the only one with expertise in the production of content for them. So the transition away from having me on the team to finding some other person to produce their content and to do a good job of that is going to be a challenge. I hope that's a challenge they overcome. I hope they go on to do great things, just as I hope that I go on to do great things. But it was just becoming one of those situations where we were never going to be able to go on to do great things together. And it's better that we pursue our respective visions separately. And I made the decision to kind of call it early and just say, you know what, I can see the way this is going, and I'm just going to call it. make the break, and I'm now a free agent. I can pursue what I believe I ought to be pursuing. They can replace me and pursue their vision as they believe it ought to be, and I think that's just the better way forward. So right now I'm enjoying a couple of weeks spending a bit more time with the kids and doing more of that sort of dad stuff, which is nice because it's been a really intense year. It's been a lot of work this last year, work that I've been happy to do, but the combination of the hours that I was putting in, the amount of work that I was doing, combined with a sense that there was just growing friction and a growing divide in our respective visions was enough for me to go, you know what, this probably isn't going to work long term, so I'm not going to try and make it work. I'm just going to say, you know what, you go your way, I'll go mine, and we'll call it a day. So I wish them the very best for the future, but that'll be a future that doesn't include me.
Fair.
I must admit, today I was extremely proud and happy because I live in the electorate of Cook, and my parents are in the same electorate, and we've got the by-election coming up in a couple of weeks because Mr. Morrison is resigning.
Mm-hmm.
And today the first campaign signs went out, and it was for our local Libertarian representative.
Nice.
And I was so proud because it's the first time in this area that I've seen something other than Labor, Liberal or Greens plastered everywhere. Nothing else is plastered yet. So the Libertarians have taken the front foot. And I'm
stolen the march.
Yes, I've actually got someone I can vote for at the by-election that I actually want to vote for, not sort of having to work out which order to put the ones I don't want to vote for on the ballot paper. So I'm very, very happy about that. How well they do will be interesting to see. But
who's the candidate?
Can't pronounce his name, unfortunately. It's I know I can see his face because I've seen it on at least 20 signs around on the roads around here today. So
Stu's saying John Ruddock, but that can't be right because he's already a member of the Legislative Council. So I'm assuming that would be what Stu's saying there is that John Ruddock has been the driving force behind the Libertarian Party getting on board. Here we go. David's jumped in. Vinay Kolhatar worked on my staff for a few months. Lovely guy. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
So, look.
Well, good on the Libertarian Party for getting their act together, and good on Vinay.
I won't be dragging my feet to fill out the ballot paper and going, oh, I've got to choose some dickhead to vote for. Now I'm actually going to go there and say, yes, I know who I'm putting number one now. So I'm very happy.
Nice, very good.
Because every year you go there and there's like one independent who you're not sure if it's just a Labor or Green stooge.
And some of the independents are worse.
And Liberal, and that was it. Like it's slim pickings to choose from. So
some of the independents are full on commies. Like they're really out there. So I refused to vote in a local election for the seat of Darebin many years ago. And I got the fine in the mail. And I still got these letters somewhere. I looked up the Constitution, I looked up a couple of court precedents, and I basically put together a 1.5-page letter that said, according to the Constitution, I have the right to use my vote as I see fit. That's the wording, as I see fit, which has to include the right to withhold my vote. If I cannot withhold my vote, then I have been denied the right to use my vote as I see fit. And there was not a single candidate on this entire ballot paper that I could vote for in good conscience and give them the imprimatur and the democratic legitimacy of having my vote attached to them. And then I preemptively, because what the AEC does is I say, well, yes, but you've signed up to vote. And when you registered to vote, you agreed that you were going to vote. And if you don't, you've agreed that you're going to get a fine. And I found a court precedent around, I can't remember which one it was. It was a court precedent around a farce. And the court precedent was, I can't remember what it was about, but in the decision, there was the declaration by the judge that you can't require a person to participate in a farce. And this is a federal court decision. And I then got the Black's Law Dictionary definition of a farce, which essentially boiled down to participating in the form of a thing without having any effect on the function. And I said, on that basis, you can't require me to show up and get my name ticked off the ballot and then vote informally, because that's what they would say. Oh, well, you should have showed up and got your name ticked off, and then you can do whatever you want with the ballot. So I preemptively dealt with that and said, you can't require me to show up just to get my name ticked off. that's a farce. So it's a violation of my constitutional rights to require me to give my vote when there's no one that I see fit, that I deem fit for my vote, and you can't require me to show up and get my name ticked off. And funnily enough, I never heard from them again. That was the end of that.
Very good.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because then you also think, well, do you even though you can't morally support them, there's the lesser of the evils, and do you vote for the lesser of the evils rather than
not when they're all full on? Like this was Joseph Stalin and then left of him. Like there was this is Darebin City Council. It's among the worst councils in Melbourne. And it was just really full on. And I actually looked at each candidate in turn. I read their material, the booklet comes out with each person's face and what they're about. And I read each and every one of them, and I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. There's not a single one of these people I can vote for.
Still got that chainsaw for you.
Yeah, thank you. It might come in handy one day. Hopefully not for about another 20 or 30 years. Oh, goodness, I don't want to go for politics. David Leinholm, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you got through that long in Parliament without punching the absolute living fuck out of somebody and going to prison for it. I just don't know how you can do that.
Actually, I watched the video. It's trending on YouTube at the moment. David Leinholm questioning over the airsoft guns.
Yeah.
And I watched that again the other day. Some of the it was an American shooter group that actually was posting this about firearms laws in Australia, and they actually had the David questioning in the inquiry on that one. So
David was one of the only MPs willing to speak up on guns, and did the legendary "Thank you for smoking" speech, and those are some of the most legendary moments in Australian politics, right up there with who was the media mogul that was called in front of a Senate inquiry and gave them absolute Packer? Like there's a couple of these moments that just live in my memory as like the finest moments in Australian politics, and David Leinholm's got at least 2 on the top 5 list.
Yeah. Yes, we need more politicians.
We need more of that. Well, more politicians and more captains of industry like that as well.
Who was it? Mind blank. Caffeine's worn off. I thought I posted it. The UAP member in the Senate. Babette. Got the vote through for an inquiry into excess deaths by 1 vote. I'm like, yes.
However, before you get too excited, the chair, the deputy chair, and 1 other person appointed to the 3-person committee were all people that voted not to have that inquiry. So the fix is already in. They're already sabotaging it. And unfortunately, this is getting an inquiry is the first step. Having the right terms of reference and the right people on the committee is the next step. And unfortunately, he didn't have the numbers. There were people that then supported the idea of having one and then supported it being a whitewash.
Yeah. A bit like the New Zealand inquiry with the bloody Victorian health minister chairing it.
Yeah, correct. Look, it's going to be a little bit thalidomide, a little bit asbestos. Some time has to pass before it becomes possible for these things to be really looked at, because the people whose balls are on the line have to have retired out of politics before a new generation who aren't accountable, who aren't at risk, can come in and actually give an honest assessment of what happened. So typically these sorts of things
on the line seem to be fleeing a sinking ship anyway.
Not enough of them yet to make the difference, but some have. But it's the same as like the Murray-Darling Basin clusterfuck. It's for as long as the Penny Wongs of this world, and for a time there, Malcolm Turnbull and Kevin Rudd and all these people supported it, from the Greens, Labor, Liberal, even the Nationals. We're all in on this thing. For as long as they were in there, we were never going to get anywhere in terms of accountability and honesty and a real, genuine sort of hard-nosed look at it. And unfortunately, the reality of the current situation is it's going to be another, best case scenario, it's going to be another 5 years, but realistically, I think it's going to be 10 or more. Yeah. And then finally, 20 years after the fact, we'll get an apology. But the reason we'll get it then is because the people culpable, the people liable, well, they're long gone. They're retired. They're out of, that they don't really care anymore. They're protected because of various laws that, with some legitimacy do protect politicians from the decisions that, there is a need to have a certain level of that. Otherwise, no one's going to want to become a politician because they'll spend the rest of their life being sued by people. Like, there's got to be a certain amount of protection there. But unfortunately, I think in this case, once they retire, they'll be able to hide behind that protection and very likely get away without any real accountability. And at most, the accountability is going to be on the taxpayer to pay compensation. And I wish I could be more sort of optimistic, but I think that's likely to be the outcome.
Absolutely.
Sadly, David Leinhelm is concurring with my assessment there. And he's a man who would know.
Quote out of Yes Minister.
Doesn't it?
I am still adamant in 50 or 100 years' time, people are going to find the Yes Minister TV series and think that it was a reality TV show.
Or the other one that I absolutely adore is Utopia. A different vibe. Like, that's a different vibe. It focused on a different situation than what the Yes Minister was. But honestly, between Yes Minister and Utopia, you've really got the picture.
Yeah.
Well, back to the cigar. I'm beginning to get a bit of a sour twist in there. There's a lingering white pepper on the tip of the tongue. And there's a bit of it's not the marmalade twist. It's not the Cuban tang that we talk about all the time. It's something a bit deeper, a bit richer. It's like a dried, not a dried fig. It's like a dried what?
Plum.
It's intense. It's fruity, but it's tart.
It's almost like, those Japanese plums.
Yeah. It's not quite it for me. Mine's a bit more tart than that.
It reminds me of more of a tart cherries, those tar cherries. Cherries. That tar cherries is something that just came to my mind. I just had that little tartness as well.
Yeah, it's been quite a sudden shift for me in the last couple of puffs. It's really come in. Down into the final third now, so the flavour is good. It's building, but it's not unpleasant for a cigar that was reasonably bold right from the outset. It has not become harsh. It has not become too much.
It's got a slight mintiness type of thing is coming as well for me, like very light mintiness, tar mintiness.
I think for me that's expressing as a slight white pepper. A peppermint and a pepper can be a closely related thing. I don't have that freshness in my flavor profile at the moment.
Yes, like a light. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he did, and I haven't tried it yet. I've actually got a few there to try. I'm just letting them gather a bit of age. But he released a cigar called Meat Lovers last year.
Oh,
and I
do tell.
Try. So.
Mm.
It'd be interesting to see what his interpretation of a cigar labeled Meat Lovers would be.
Imagine a whole pizza range of cigars. Like here's your Hawaiian, here's your marinara, your seafood, just tastes like anchovies. Tastes like 4-week-old prawns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still a beautiful, soft, smooth flavor profile, though.
I got to say, though, if they hadn't oversold it to me, I'd be sitting here going, this is a magnificent stick. But they hyped it so hard, a little bit Gurkha-esque. They hyped it so hard that I'm like, it's not living up to the hype, not because it's in any way disappointing. They just overhyped it. It's a beautiful stick.
It'd be interesting to see how this stick ages. That's for sure.
I think it'd age very well, just based on what little I know. I think it'd age very, very well. Mind you, having said that, there's not really any issue with integration of flavors. One of the things we talk about often with aging cigars is that sort of the flavors integrate more. That's not really an issue with this cigar.
Stu.
Thank you, Stu. Actually, so no, just to give people a bit of a idea of my headspace on the chocolate that came with the pack. So the original plan was just to put in the 100% chocolate, and I made a big batch of 100% chocolate, and I cast all the bars off, and I was 100%
beautiful.
Absolutely, I really think I nailed it quite well this time around. I made a lighter roast profile on the cacao so that it was a little bit more sour, less bitter, but sort of brought more of that fruity notes through in the chocolate. Then once I'd done that, I still had a whole lot of chocolate left over. And I was like, well, what I'm going to do, I wouldn't mind doing a dark milk, something around about the 65% in a milk chocolate, which is what I did.
Right.
But our house, we don't use sugar. So the only sugar I had was Rapadura, which is basically the juice from the sugar cane that's just evaporated dry. It's not refined. It's not processed. It always has a dampness to it like brown sugar. So
yeah.
The problem with that in the chocolate is it will give it that sort of damp, crumbly texture to it. But I thought, well, the flavor was fine. So I did some of that, and then I still had enough bars done for the pack, and then I had some more chocolate left in the machine. I'm like, well, what am I going to do with the rest of it? So I actually threw in some whole coffee beans and actually ground them into the chocolate, and that was what the coffee one was. But those the 65% dark milk and the coffee chocolate was not any recipe. It was just literally a last second, what else can I do to get this out the door in the next couple of days? And it was just sort of bang, 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 throw it out. No recipe, just winging it by the seat of my pants just so I could do 3 bars in the 3 different things instead of just the one chocolate in the pack.
And see everybody, he's doing it again. You can't get any more of this. I don't know what the recipe was. You'll never be able to get another one. He does this with cigars. He's like, oh, it's a limited edition cigar. I got the last box on the planet. I had to fight a zombie Nazi dinosaur in order to pry it from his cold, dead fingers. Enjoy this. You'll never get another one. And now he's doing the same thing with the chocolate.
Wow. Massive hit of some sort of dry fruit note. Like really sudden, big, massive hit on that.
It wasn't monk fruit, was it?
No. But I think we're still at that sour. I can see where that it's for me. It's not quite cherry. It's almost got that tartness of a cranberry, but not the sweetness of the cranberry. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It's quite tart. I can't quite put my finger on it. There is not. I don't think there's an exact simile for it. It's a dried fruit. It's definitely fruity. It's got the richness of fruit, but yeah, not a lot of sweetness. It's mostly a tart. For me, it's almost like an underripe peach. You get just like a white flesh peach. You eat it when it's underripe. It hasn't developed the sweetness yet, and it's just tart. A dried one of those, I think.
That was where I was going with the Japanese plum, because every time I've had Japanese plum, they've always got that sort of slightly underripe tart flavor note to them, and that's just naturally how they are. So. Yeah.
So David is risking his license to participate in our live streams here. I'm not sure whether I can tolerate a bad word about your 100% chocolate, Damo. I'm starting to think we need to draw a line here.
Look, I do tell people that the 100% chocolate is very much like drinking espresso. You don't go and have a big cup of espresso. It's a small little shot, and you just sip it and you enjoy that little short burst of intense flavor. But definitely, it's a chocolate that you don't generally have by itself. It's something that you want to have in conjunction, just one little square dissolved with some coffee or something else, just to give it that that flavor.
I
I'll have
literally
berries, like some raspberries or strawberries or blueberries or something like that.
I'll have it with a cigar, but I'm literally breaking off the smallest little triangles that I can break off in a single piece. And I'm just putting that on my tongue and I'm letting that dissolve. And so one of your little things of that 100% chocolate will last me for probably 6 cigars or more, and I'll have multiple little tiny pieces over the course of the same cigar. So I'm breaking that small little slab up into, I don't know, probably the better part of nearly 100 pieces, just little tiny pieces on the tongue.
Wow, that has just got so fruity on me at the moment.
Mm.
And I'm really pushing that limit of this is almost going out between puffs on me at the moment. I'm really trying to slow that down to really enjoy that flavor profile I've got at the moment.
Yeah, I think I've accelerated a little bit. I think I'm probably past you. Yeah, I'm well past you, Damo. And Omar's somewhere in between the two of us.
Yeah.
Or maybe about more the same as me. I'm probably over smoking this one at the moment, but it is just beautiful. And again, just that satisfying, this is what a cigar should taste like. It's bold. There's plenty of flavor, but it's not in any way harsh. It's not dry. It's not any of those negative things. It's just full of flavor and a lovely, lovely cigar to smoke. And having let it go out and then lit the high side, it's just lit itself up beautifully, smoking beautifully.
The sweetness that's there is almost got a bit of a grape note to it. So, when you get a grape that's not quite ripe and it's just that little bit of sweet sourness to the grape, that's the sweet that I'm getting off the smoke at the moment.
Yeah, see, I don't know what that's like because I have my grapes in liquid form. I heard the grapes are a choking hazard, so I'm like, I'm gonna only have the processed ones. That it's you can't they can't get stuck in your throat. It's just a safety thing. Hey, Simon, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, Simon.
Hey, Simon.
I was caught up on the packs till now. Well, catch up. Stu's about halfway. Well, man, you're smoking slow. Well done. Not sure who this is. Been a while since I tuned in. How good is Holmes G's beard? Tell you what, it is pretty epic. I have to say, there's more ash than there used to be, though. There is, over time, the percentage of ash is increasing.
Yeah.
He's just trying to catch up to me.
Yeah, I've got a long way to go to catch up with either of you. I do, I quit my job. I don't have to shave. I'm looking a bit disheveled and unkempt and loving it.
Funny you should say that, Dan, because at one point I was almost about to say blackcurrant.
That's been there, but it's not quite the right flavor note. It's
sort of this. It's sort of this thing that every time you sort of think it's heading in one direction, it sort of just transitions across somewhere else, and it's just sort of it's one of those moving targets that you can't seem to quite nail down.
Yeah.
Simon, if you ever find that online, do not send me a link. I do not want to see that.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Goodness. Man, I'm telling myself I need to slow down, but I'm just having to come back to it over and over again for another toke. It's just too good.
I agree with Stu. Stu's got a good eye on things. He's not bad, this guy. Silent.
That's all right. It'll be gone soon. Soon as I actually have to do some work, the stubble will be gone.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah. When I'm dead, apparently once you die, your beard keeps growing for a while. So, maybe that's when I'll finally have a beard when they bury me in the ground.
won't be much, dude. There won't be much.
What can I say? God didn't feel the need to cover my face and hide it from the world.
Yeah.
I can see why he hid yours.
Hey, something to just scare you can't hide it.
I mean, if Omar shaved, we'd be like, who's this guy? And also, are you old enough to smoke cigars? Like this baby moon-faced 6-year-old has no business being on the Cigar Professor.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, Simon, thanks for asking. I did mention it earlier in the show, but just a difference in vision. Simple as that. And better that they pursue their vision and I pursue mine. That's the long and short of it, really. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I could believe that you've gone out with girls that have more facial hair than me, Stu. I could definitely believe that.
He's not.
It's not a reflection. It's not a reflection on my facial hair. That's a reflection on the kind of girls that Mr. Stu can get.
But maybe Stu's referring to you, that you might have had some more hair in the past.
Hey, what happens in Albury stays in Albury, all right?
Yeah, gotcha.
How is David finding this cigar as far as
nicotine? That's actually a good question. Because I haven't I wouldn't say I'm noticing much, if any, nicotine.
No nicotine, mate.
Yeah. Well, you say that with every cigar, Omar. Your opinion's worthless on this one.
No nicotine in this shit. It's zero nicotine.
he could roll a nicotine patch up and smoke it and still not get any nicotine.
Yeah. Just like get like vape nicotine and just take it intravenously. He wouldn't notice.
Yep.
It's true. The good old days. Back when we didn't have terrorists on the show.
Yeah, back in the day.
Oh, mate, I'm right down the business there now. I've smoked this last little bit. I've smoked way too fast, but yeah, I'm still loving it.
Yeah, Dave was a bit behind, but
that's true. He really does find nicotine in everything. I remember back before he became carnivore, he used to get a nicotine hit out of a carrot. So if Mr. Stu's not finding nicotine, then no one is.
Yeah, there's no nicotine. It's a negative one.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure how many more months I'm going to be able to sit on the balcony and do the show. It's beautiful right now. The temperature's perfect. I'm in a t-shirt. Beautiful. But the seasons change pretty quickly here. So probably one more month I might be able to be on the balcony. And then after that, I'm going to have to be rugged up downstairs inside somewhere.
Yeah.
You could get your fire pit going.
What about in the studio?
Yeah, the studio's good. It's a good spot for a cigar. And it's nice and quiet too. I can shut the door and shut all the noise out. But the problem is that Eddie's out tonight. So I'm meant to be looking after the kids. And I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a few times I've seen my daughter come running through that door, and she's running. She's supposed to be in bed. So she's pushing her luck, and she's up and she's running. I haven't seen her for a while, so maybe she's crashed out. But yeah, I'm in theory, I'm looking after the kids tonight.
You gonna pay the visits too? We've been waiting for you, man. We've been waiting.
Omar's shop is super cool. Very, very cool place.
It's almost a 24/7 drop-in herfing spot if you're in Sydney, Stu.
Anytime.
And if you're bringing cigars, I can guarantee Omar's going to be there waiting for you.
He will open up at 4 o'clock in the morning if you're bringing cigars.
That's it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, everyone saw Chloe. Yeah, she probably will be in the hall. She's taken to sleeping on the tiles in the hallway. I don't know why, but she does. She loves it.
I'm not too far from Engadine. Get my digits for our Damo and hold on me when you're around, dude. Not too far. Not too far.
Yeah, Omar strategically chose to set up his shop within a couple of blocks of my house.
He knows who his dealer is.
Mm-hmm.
That he does.
I would say out of, I mean, we got, obviously, Dan's got a beautiful palate, but I think the cigar knowledge with Simon is probably one of the best we have in our viewers. Simon is just like, I mean, Richard, of course, but Simon.
Richard,
like, every time we have a conversation, like Simon is always bang on. It's like that. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
The other person that we only see from time to time, yes, David, agreed. The other person that we only see from time to time is Aaron.
Aaron.
His palate is also phenomenal.
Aaron,
you know, and I'm glad we don't see him very often, because I'd start to feel like my position as a cigar professor was under threat if he showed up, you know, more than what he does. So, you know, Aaron, if you do happen to watch this, just, you know, thank you for staying away. Please continue to stay away.
Yeah, Whiskey Pete, it's been a while, dude. It's been a while. We've seen it. We miss him for sure.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Whiskey Pete since the show before last. All I know is he's working ridiculously long hours trying to pull it all together.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of work. It's a lot of work, that sort of life. My auntie did the same thing, a B&B at a winery in Rutherglen. Enormous amounts of work, more work than a human being can do in 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, Omar, what was that?
It's a lot of work than it seems. It seems all good. It's easy, but it's not. It's a lot of work.
No.
Around the clock too.
Yeah. It's relentless. It's, you know, like farmers we know work, you know, from you know, dawn till dusk and then into the night. The difference with a sort of a bushland Airbnb is that, you know, with a farm, things can look like a farm. They don't have to look perfect. But when you're running an Airbnb or you're running a farm stay or these sorts of things, not only does it have to function and be right, it also has to look the way that city people expect it to look. Like, it's just the expectations are ridiculous. It's almost impossible. Requires enormous work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, this is getting pretty hot for me now. I'm right down the business end. I got a couple of puffs and then I'm done.
So we got an hour and 10 easily.
Hour and 15, I'd say. Yeah.
I'd probably get another 10 out of this, I'd say.
Yeah, if you don't smoke, you can have 10 days out of that too. That's okay.
Omar.
That's what I'll have to get you, Omar, for Christmas. I'll get a cigar and embed it in epoxy resin and label it the Eternal Cigar.
Yeah, I do this legendary barbecue with some very special meats and some very special stuff. So you're more than welcome, dude.
Omar, I've told you, just make those legendary meatballs I keep hearing about, and you're welcome. Just knock on my door, hold up a plate of meatballs, and I'll let you in. Not those balls, the other ones, the ones that you can eat. No, even that doesn't clarify it. You get what I mean, though, right?
No.
Well, in that case, I'm out.
In serious note, I can work around you guys with the next barbecue. We'll do it a Friday or Saturday afternoon. We do it on the beach. I do cigars after that. We do a bit of fire, coffee. It's good.
Well, hey, I'm in Sydney Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, don't hold out on me, man.
Nah, never. Barbecue all.
Now he spills the beans.
Yeah. It's 1 to 2.
Guys, I'm putting that down. Sorry, Omar, I missed that.
When did you say you're in?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm working all day Tuesday, but I got a bit of time on Monday and the Wednesday. I fly out Wednesday, 6 o'clock, something like that.
Monday's a public holiday, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Tuesday evening, something can happen. But may not be the barbecue so quick, but
I've got the gala. I'm emceeing the gala that night.
are you the gala? When are you
Tuesday's
back?
out. Hey.
When are you back again?
After that, I don't know. I've literally got nothing in my diary outside of a couple of podcasts. After that, that's my last event. I've had a manic first 3 months to the year. It's been absurd, and then all of a sudden my diary is just empty, which is actually nice. I'm going to enjoy that. But I've been to America and back. I've done 4 conferences, emceed a bunch of other events.
Last year.
No, UK was last year, but this year's just been mad, been absolute mad. It's been exhausting, and I'm kind of glad to have an empty diary for a while. Would be nice.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Sorry. You go. Damo, when do you think you are free, in May or somewhere April?
Not sure. Actually, I'm just about to go on tour in a week and a half with the Marvel Universe Live. It kicks off next week in Brisbane. I'm not doing that, but I'm doing Melbourne and Sydney.
Nice.
Looking forward to actually being on a production that's for little boys and their dads as opposed to mums and their daughters.
Yeah.
But then I've still got Disney on Ice coming up in June, July. So,
gotcha.
But my May is looking pretty vacant. I was hoping to get away on a hunting trip in May, but the guys I normally go with are a bit all over the shop with dates. It was all going to happen in May and seems to be all falling apart at the moment. So
we're probably going hunting in April, end of April as well, somewhere in Goldberg.
They're talking about doing a trip in August up in Gyra, but the last time I went to Gyra in August camping, it was -13, and it wasn't the most pleasant camping experience. Camping in temperatures where everything was frozen solid in the morning when you woke up.
Yeah, forget that.
Yeah.
Stu, if they're into Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, all that sort of stuff, definitely. It looks pretty impressive.
Well, sounds like May might be the go because May's a good month for me. I'm heading to Melbourne in April, doing some family time with the in-laws and so forth in April. But May might be a good month for us to have a get together.
Yeah, well, look, I've got to formalise my adoption papers when I get down there in April with your in-laws.
Right. Yes.
So I was in serious negotiations with your in-laws, though. Apparently, I've got a bedroom all to myself and welcome whenever I want. And they said, "Oh, look, you just come. We'll give you the keys." There we go.
Yeah, they've got low standards. They've got that going for them.
Well, clearly,
look who they accepted as the son-in-law. You know.
That's a lot low standard. This guy over there.
Hey, sorry, Omar, you were breaking up.
I said they have you. That's a real low standard. That's below everything. That's like
I forged the path that all of you can follow me, and become adopted into the same family. If they've accepted me, they'll accept literally anybody.
Or anything's a step up.
Mm.
I ain't gonna argue. I did have a serious question, but I can't remember it now.
It mustn't be important.
Nah. Well, I reckon I got the better part of an hour 20, certainly more than an hour 15 out of that, and it was beautiful from start to finish. Bold. I can see why they've chosen not to try and pretend that it's a beginner-friendly cigar. It's not. If you gave that to a beginner as their first cigar, even if they smoked it properly, they'd be like, whoa. But as an experienced smoker's cigar, that was really, really good. Really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
And it's not often that we have that. Yeah, it's interesting. And it's not often that we have that the richness of those dried fruit flavors don't come through in a lot of cigars.
No.
Well, I tell you what, one of the future packs, I've got the not the Rose of Sharon, the same people. It was Southern Draw, Jacob's Ladder.
Oh yeah.
And I know Omar and I had that. That was the biggest fruit bomb we've ever experienced in a cigar in our lives.
Mm.
So one of the future packs later this year will have that in it, and I'm looking forward to that experience of an absolute massive dried fruit bomb. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, wow. And Jacob's ladder being a reference, of course, to the biblical, when Jacob, was it the same sequence where he wrestled with God? He wrestled with an angel, and there was a ladder there with angels ascending.
Ascending and descending, yeah.
Yeah, and he built an altar in that spot. Yeah, okay, interesting reference. There do seem to be a lot of sort of biblical and religious references in the cigar world. Obviously, the Ave Marias are an obvious one, the Catholic reference there, and all of their cigar names. You know, the Immaculata, the various sort of names that they have for their various products. But there's just a lot of Bible references in the cigar world. I'm not quite sure why that is.
There's another ones we haven't looked at yet, but that's another biblical one. But it's sold in a pack. You have to buy like a box with half Davids, half Goliaths in the pack.
Yeah, so. And I'm guessing the Davids are small and the Goliaths are big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
of course. No, very nice, very cute.
Seems like Damo is holding out for cigar flavor.
Well, look, we're waiting for Damo again. It's just a theme, you know.
Wow, that was almost apricot-like. So there you go.
We went through all the stone fruits tonight, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it say? It's dressed up as a Bible too, is it? Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah. There you go. We got to get a hold of one of those boxes then. Make sure when you buy them, they're in their boxes.
All right, I can do that.
I mean, that could be fun depending on the flavor. I know nothing about them, so depending on the flavor profiles, that might almost be a double cigar night.
The people that make David and Goliath are also the people that make the Highclere Castle cigars as well. So.
Yeah, okay. So it turns out Stu was just taking the piss, and Simon was taking the piss and sucked us all in.
He did.
Yeah, you got us, Simon. Well done. Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, as I talk, the earpieces slowly work their way out of my ear, so I have to kind of push them back in from time to time.
It should actually come with a sling and 5 little stones, I reckon.
And a target you can put on someone's forehead, you know.
Yep. Well, I'm at the hot business end of that. That's
pretty good, Ed.
Yeah, that was good.
Beautiful cigar. So, Damo, what's next in this pack, or what's in the rest of this pack? What have we got coming up in the next 2 months?
Very good. Let me just pull up the information. I should have pulled it up earlier.
That's right. It's a question without notice.
That's right. At least I've got it all on my phone. That's the main thing. So the next one is we were talking about biblical references. The next one is the Ave Maria Divina. Now, I actually find that a more complex version of the Immaculata, which we've already had.
Yeah.
A little bit more spice and sweetness in that. So that will be very good. That's next month's cigar. And then the one in May is the Room 101 Johnny Tobacco, which last year got a lot of hype in the American market. Everybody was really raving on about that one. So we've got a couple of really good cigars coming up in this pack.
Dames.
All right. Well.
And no Perdomos in this pack.
No Perdomo.
There you go.
Illusion. We haven't had any Illusion.
I think that I might be looking at doing that somewhere in the future. Let me just have a quick squeeze if I've got that on my wish list. See if Illusion. Yes, that's on my wish list. So somewhere in the future, we'll probably do. Actually, the one that I really want to do is the Illusion Épinay La Taureau. I think that's how you pronounced it. Taureau. However it's pronounced, but anyway, so that's another great stick we haven't, a brand we haven't yet tried. So somewhere in the future, I'll get hold of some of those for one of the pack.
Well, we're more than 3 years in, and there's still stuff we haven't tried. That's good news, and stuff to look forward to. Well, gentlemen, I think that's it for this month. So thank you so much, Damo. You've excelled yourself. I'm still not sure that I agree with the amount of hype that the manufacturer puts on that particular cigar, but it was nevertheless a brilliant stick, and thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Definitely.
Omar, thank you as always. Keep working on that beard. One day you'll look like a real boy. Just keep working on it. Keep working on it. All right.
Boy, it's about men.
Just keep dreaming. Dreams can come true. Just keep working on that. Alrighty, thank you very much. We're going to end there, and we will see you all in a month. Thank you so much for joining us.
See you then.